Spider-Man PS4 is a game that I regret trading into GameStop. I bought it, beat it within 3 days, traded in for that sweet GameStop credit, and put that towards Red Dead Redemption 2. Don't get me wrong, I love some Cowboy Simulator, but it's just something about Spider-Man games that makes me fall in love with them. I grew up playing Spider-Man games on my PlayStation 2, and something about Spider-Man PS4 brought me back to those simpler times. I bring this up to say that I was extremely excited to play Spider-Man Miles Morales. I was trying to hold out for a PS5 to enjoy the game on, but after all of my failed attempts to snatch one for retail pricing, I gave in and started playing on my trusty old PS4. When I booted up the game, I was totally shocked to see there was an actual graphics upgrade, although it is only a slight one. I was expecting some sort of asset flip for the PS4 version, but I'm so glad it is more than that. Now the game still looks alright, but since I know there is a much better version of the game out there with all the fancy PS5 features, I just can't help myself to be left wanting more. Wanting more is a perfect way to describe Spider-Man Miles Morales. Keep in mind this isn't a DLC, but it's not a full sequel either. This is a $50 release that takes less than 10 hours to complete. 17 hours according to howlongtobeat.com for a full completionist playthrough. If you like collecting everything and going through all of the side quests, then Miles Morales doesn't have a bad runtime. Now if you compare the 8 or so hour mainline story of Miles Morales to the 17-hour story of Spider-Man PS4, you can be left a little disappointed. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every game has to be a huge 30-hour epic, because short games obviously have their place, and I would much rather a game be short than overstay its welcome. The problem with Miles Morales is that there is such a good cast and story, but they don't give it time. Around the middle of the game, the story just starts to feel rushed, for lack of a better term. Back in Spider-Man PS4, we are introduced to Peter Parker, who has already been Spider-Man for years and experienced and knows the hero he wants to be. Well, here, Miles has been Spider-Man for a little bit, but he is still young. He is still trying to figure out the hero he wants to be, all the while balancing his personal life, and that is a conflict that could have been done so well if it was just given more time to develop. That's the end of my rant on the story, so let's move on to something else. The combat in Miles Morales plays just like the first game, and you can get a good feel for it just by watching the gameplay on the screen. There are a few new interesting gadgets and upgrades, but I found myself forgetting about them until late in the game when they become must-use items. It is a really weird feeling that Miles is a much stronger character than Peter because of his electricity powers and invisibility and all of that. But the game does handle it well just by sending tougher enemies at you, which will require you to use your powers and gadgets to really be effective against them. One of the downsides of the new powers is how they try to incorporate them into the game outside of combat. As I mentioned before, Miles has the power of electricity. Well, over and over again throughout the story, you will come into situations where the power is out and all hope is seemingly gone. Wait, no, I was wrong. I just had to run around and find the generator to punch with my electric fists. And you do that too many times. After all of my game time, I wanted more. Is that because there wasn't much on offer, or is it because I love any Spider-Man game I play? I think it's a bit of both. This is normally the time where I'd give it a review score, but I have decided to make some changes to InputSource and get rid of the 1 through 10 scoring system. Instead, I'm just going to give a game either a recommendation or not, a simple yes-no rating system. And for Spider-Man Miles Morales, I can only recommend it if you have a PlayStation 5. The PS4 version is just a little bit more Spider-Man, but not enough to justify the $50 price tag. Although I do love the soundtrack and I want to buy it on vinyl, and I'm really tempted to. Anyways, on PS5 you get the next-gen upgrades as well as a full remastered Spider-Man game with the deluxe edition, so it has a much better value proposition. Thank you for watching InputSource. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. If you have any feedback or video ideas, send us an email here or fill out the form in the description. Game links can be found down there as well. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.